Hello and welcome to The Lucky Roll. James here, and I did an interview recently for the show with games designer Robin David about his latest game, Tag City. Check it out on the channel. During the interview we went a little off topic and got to talking about colour blindness and board gaming. What Robin had to say on the subject is really interesting, so here it is in full. Take it away, Robin. So, an interesting topic. I've seen you tweet about it before. Colour blindness in gaming is an issue for you. Why, and what is it that games designers need to be aware of?
So I'm colorblind, and what this means is that I find that a lot of board games I really struggle to play. And as someone who's really, really enthusiastic about board games, especially board games that have lots of little wooden bits in them, it absolutely breaks my heart sometimes that I can't play them. So there was recently a game I played where the dice were red, green, blue, brown, something like that, and they were all the same to me, and I couldn't play because I just couldn't find the dice I needed to use in any given turn. Sometimes you can work around it. You can kind of order things on your little player board or whatever to figure them out. But if there's like a big central board and there's bits moving around and things, the game becomes unplayable if you're colorblind. So your question was,
what can, I suppose, publishers, games designers do to help out in this issue?
So there are lots of different kinds of colorblindness and lots of different degrees of it. With myself, I have a lot of trouble with things like blues and browns and greens. All kind of will tend to blur together for me. So if it's my own game and I like it a lot, I will modify the components usually myself. This is not ideal though. Ideally, it needs to come from the publisher side, an awareness of the colours that are being used, and then the different ways of presenting information also. 1 in 10 men is colourblind, and I think maybe 1 in 50 women, or something like that. So it's not an insignificant portion of the board gaming community. And if a game doesn't serve that segment, then it's a huge frustration, and it ends up with me being really angry at a game, especially if I'm playing and I'm losing because I pick up the wrong piece or move the wrong piece, or I'm going for an objective and then find that I've got the wrong resources to achieve that objective or something. So it has to come from the publisher side, really, the fixes and the changes there. Things like choosing colours with a little bit of forethought. So if games use like pastel colours, they're probably going to be unplayable. It needs to be kind of bright colours, unfortunately. Very, very common for board games to use green and red for like player colours, which is very difficult for me. I usually play with 3 players in my gaming group, so we can usually just throw out one of the greens or reds. But if we're playing with a full complement, if we're playing with 4 players and 2 players have got to be green and red, then I'm going to have to play not fully being able to tell who I'm blocking, for example. The best solution is to do what's called double coding, which is where you would use color and then something else. So maybe the pieces have got a little symbol on them, for example, or the cards have got, an icon to show what color they are. It also makes your game look a lot nicer, rather than you're not relying just on color, but you're also relying maybe on iconography or texture or something like that. It's something I can get away with, and I can make do sometimes, and I can kind of like fudge it a little bit and kind of work it out, but it leads to me being just not very happy about the game, and then just not being able to really recommend it or really want to return to it, if I'm struggling with a particular game. And some games, you just can't play at all if the color choices are poor. If it's hidden information, I can't go asking other people what's that, or if there's like, if I can give away if I'm going for a certain strategy or going for a certain objective or trying to go after a certain player or something like that. Like I said, with some games that I really enjoy, I make the effort of fixing them. So I've got like a really nice Carcassonne set where I've coloured one of the sets of meeples and they're silver, which is quite fun, and a few other things like that, but I try not to do that too much. I shouldn't have to.
It's also a good excuse too, I guess, if you're doing really badly in a game. You can go, well, it's the colour, I just didn't see.
We were playing a train game recently, I forget what it was called, and it was completely unplayable because it was pick up and deliver. You know, it was like pick up this pink and deliver it to. It was just pointless. But I discovered a strategy where if I was going for the gold nuggets or something, it didn't matter what colours I used. I could always get gold nuggets. And so I managed to get myself in a little circle and get the same thing over and over and over again. And I exhausted the game of gold nuggets and didn't quite win, but I had fun breaking the rules a little bit. I gotta say though, it's quite nice, at least in the Irish design community now, where I'm known for being like the colourblind playtester. We're at the point now where people will send me pictures of their games before they bring them to the playtests and be like, is this okay? Can we work with this? So I'm quite happy that the Irish community is actually really ahead of the curve in terms of making games that are accessible. And if you're thinking about colourblind accessibility, you end up also thinking about other things also. You end up thinking about, like, is the font big enough? And is the, is the game, like, sensitive to other kinds of issues, you know? So I'm glad to just generally raise the awareness there of, like, you know, some of the struggles of different kinds of players. Yeah.